but this is the direction that I was going, but I wanted to talk about some of the things that we feel that we can't afford it. If it's something that you require, you will do it. I remember when I got initiated, I'm going to get personal and use myself as an example because I know myself better. I remember when I had to get a Rinlay. I had to get a Rinlay before I came out of my 3 months. I could not afford to get a Rinlay. So you know what I did? I implemented. I got me some stones from Page Point River, and I got some plates at the store they used to call Rose, I think it is, ROSS. And I got me a pack of acrylic paint. And I started painting sceneries from Oyotunji. And I became the first person to do the tours. I was the first tour guide. And whenever I would start with the tours, I would end. This is when the old Oyotunji, many of you weren't even born at that time. And I would have a tour. People would come in and want to see Oyotunji. And, of course, I had my stuff laid out. I had plates and platters that showed Oyotunji, the first African village, and all of this other little stuff. And when you were ending the tour, you ended it right under my little star. Now, my star was just where the goats were, and I had a lapa on the ground. And I charged everybody, whatever it is that they would give me. So, well, how much are the plates? I said, well, how much do you have? How much do you think it's worth? And they always thought it was more than I thought it was because I paid $1 for the plate, if that much. And so they would give me $5, $10. That's how I got the Orisha Erinle. And the reason I needed to get Erinle is because I had a fibroid tumor in my stomach. Okay? So when you have an important situation, you learn to implement. I could say, well, I can't afford it because here I am, we don't have any running water, I don't have a job, and I have a little baby. And just say, well, I can't get a relay because they're charging me. No, I went and I made it and I got the money, and not only did I make enough money to get a relay, I made enough money to pay for my 3 months above. So you have to look at it from the perspective that if it is important to you, then you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. Information was given to me that look, sister, you need to get this a relay so that the diseases or illnesses or whatever it is that's in your path, that a relay will be able to balance it. And I went totally in inspiration. I went, this makes sense to me. I was inspired. I was like, okay, so you're telling me that if I get this pot and this shrine, that I'm going to be able to do this. And then I put it to action. And when I did it, okay, right after that, when I came out of my 3 months, because, in our system you don't have sex for 3 months. After the 3 months, I got pregnant. The first time I had sex with the Oba, may he rest in glory, I got pregnant. When I went to have the baby, the tumors were pushing me, the fibroids were pushing so much that you could see the knot on the side of me. And from doing the ebol with Erinle, when I went to the hospital, they opened it, they couldn't find any of them. By the time I had the baby, from doing the ebol that I had to do for Erinle, for every month I did ebol for 9 months. When I had that baby, they couldn't find anything. Okay, so when you're inspired, you get to implement it. But you must do your information investigation because, like I said, there are some OCHA houses that are initiating and not training. That's not worth but $150, not $50, but $50. But if you're getting what it is that you come out of when you graduate, you know exactly what you're doing. That this is not something that you just do, doing a thing and hold a vibe, like we say in Jamaica, but you really, really know your stuff. My students, before they can get a dobale, they have to have X amount of things under their belt. Are you going to be taught how to define? You have to know how to define. So if you make a contract, if you get enough information, you can make a contract with whatever house it is. Okay, what is it that I'm getting for this? We don't need just get the mystery and the hoo-hoo and the ha-ha. We need to get some facts so that when push comes to shove, I can read and I can find out exactly what it is. So when I get in my car, I will be able to get from point A to point B by being safe. That's what you're paying for. So that's why we can't say that people are overcharging or undercharging because it is a service. And you have to recognize what kind of service you have. You have people that are getting tummy tucks and they're batching them up because they're doing a thing and holding a bag. Or you're getting those that after the tummy tuck, you look fabuloso. So it depends on what it is that you're getting, so that you need to do your investigation.
Well, sure. We got a caller. They've been on the line for a minute, so let's go ahead and pull them in.
They are calling from 347.
They're backing them up because
Alafia 347. You're on OORadio. Iyalode Yeyefini.
So it depends on what it is that you're getting, so that you need to do your investigation.
Can we get you to cut your volume down?
Yeah, we got a caller. They've been on the line for a minute, so let's go ahead and pull them in. They are calling
347.
I can't hear.
Alafia.
Oh, Alafia, Alafia, how you doing? 347. Can we get you to cut your volume down in the back?
Yeah, I turned it down. Can you still hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. How you doing? What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm good. My name is Iyalode, and I'm calling from Brooklyn right now.
Alafia, Iyalode, thank you for calling in.
Alafia.
You're on the line with Iyalode Yeyefini.
Alafia, Yeye.
Alafia, Yeyefini.
How you doing?
I'm doing fabulously.
Great. I'm really enjoying the show so far. Earlier, before listening to the show, we were, in the house and speaking about how everybody is really turning to a lot of alternative healing. So I wanted to ask two quick questions. My first question was, especially seeing how creative you've been and, throughout your lifetime and making sure that you found ways to bring about that abundance for yourself. My first question is, what do you think about people finding alternative ways in terms of healthcare and things like that to find, additional money sources or financial abundance? And my second question is, right now, especially with, the recession as it is and everybody struggling with the jobs, and how do we lift our collective consciousness to make sure that everybody realizes how important this abundance is and that we can really attract this to us because that is what we are? How do we realize that we have the unlimited possibilities?
Okay. I was trying to write that down because you asked two things. What was the first one?
You want me? The first one was what is your outlook in terms of us being creative and turning to finding ways to heal ourselves and sharing that with others to make money, especially alternative healing.
Well, if to use alternative healing, when you say alternative healing, that's a broad brush.
Mhm.
Give me an example of what you're saying, alternative healing.
Let me give you an example because me personally, I'm very much interested in female health, orgasmic healing, bliss healing. So I've been looking into a lot of jade egging and making sure that our vaginal health. That's in my opinion, that's how we heal the world. Is to making sure that all of our women understand our power as women, and to make sure that we pass that on to our daughters, so that they're empowered and that they realize the power that they have in our relationships moving forward.
Okay.
So that would be my example.
Okay, good. In the self-healing, that's promoting the same thing that we talked about earlier, is worthiness, self-love, self-acceptance. All of those things are self-care, because self-care is about taking care of yourself, and when you know that it works, you're wanting to share it with others. If you perfect. And that's the thing that one of the things that I think that we as practitioners have to get involved with is some of the things that's going on around us. We have gotten away from really having some form of outside education or some type of craft or some type of skill outside of just reading and writing.
Right.
I remember as a child, everybody had something that you would fall back on. Every little kid knew how to tailor. Every young girl knew how to crochet, because those were things that you would use when you needed to come to your creative center. Your creative center is a place that you have. When you want to be abundant, then you use your skill. And sometimes you just have a job because it creates the kind of wealth that you need to do the basic, but your passion is laying dormant because you are so focused on just meeting your lack and your fear, and to step out and just doing what it is that you're passionate. Because when you step out and do the thing that you're passionate about, you get to create. You become very active. You become a genius, because the vacuum that you're creating for yourself of abundance is that, okay, I don't need this. This does not give me enough joy, versus you're going to a job that you hate. So when you look at the thing, like say, for instance, you're talking about you want to get into women's healing. When that is your passion, you learn all of the skills. You do work at night. You study. You do the scientific, you do the spiritual, and you do the mental work that is necessary so that you can be the master of your craft. And when you're the master of your craft, then you are able then to clean out the things that are not working for you, because already you have that passion that's going to stimulate your creative center. You'll become abundantly successful because you're looking at, what is it that I do? Okay, I like healing, but what is the area that you see that it needs? Okay, self-help. I am sure that the reason that you're using the jade egg, for instance, is because there are some issues that you learned to heal yourself with. And so you can speak from experience. And that's what makes the product that you're selling or you're using work, is that you're coming from a place of knowing. And so the flow of abundance comes from that. So whatever it is that you are interested in, holistic health, Reiki, if it's natural birthing, anything that has to do with centering yourself to finding what your joy is or what your purpose on earth is, you're going to find the energy to do it. You will get creative. You will use the same principles that I was using. You get all of the information that you need, and you amass the power of bringing that money in. The money is a reflection of how you feel about the work that you're doing. The money is not the thing that you're chasing. And so if you're healing women's wounds, you're healing yourself, so you're balancing yourself. And when you're balanced, then you're creating a world of abundance because you become successful. And when you speak to each woman, right there from speaking to them, they will tell you something else that's affecting them. And you may want to go into, other than the womb healing, you may go into counseling. And you can recognize that perhaps the wound is off-center because there's some emotional blockage. So you get into counseling. And then from counseling, you get into, when you counsel, you deal with one-on-one. Well, perhaps you can get into doing some workshops. That's not only going to tie in the egg and the counseling, but it's also going to allow people to have an on-hand technique that will show them their value, their self-worth, and they will now become the new jade egg practitioners, for lack of a better word. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am, it definitely does.
What was the second question that you had?
My second question.
In it again is the same information, inspiration, and implementation. If you got the information on what is it that you need for the egg to work and how is it, then you have the inspiration. Why is it that you're using it? Because people need it. And then you implement it by making it not only just a person that is selling or producing, if you learn how to make them, but if you're selling these, how can you buy them in large quantities and make them affordable and make them cost effective? And so you break it down like that.
Right. My second question you've already started to answer, which was pretty much how do we make sure that this knowledge is pretty much used to elevate the collective consciousness of people so that people realize that they are abundant and they do have the ability to draw that towards them.
Well, if a person has self-worth and self-value, they know that they know that they can rock it. No one has to convince them. Nobody has to convince them. When you know who you are, you know what you're not going to stand for. It's as simple as that. Anybody can come to run a game on you, but if you know yourself for real, there's nothing that you can do. So the lack, it comes from the basic thing that we have of lack is that, like I said before, you have to look at what kind of stories do you tell yourself? What have you inherited? What kind of fear, what kind of drama have you inherited from your family? Do you always feel that you need to struggle to be abundantly blessed, or do you are you a free spirit? I've created a world for myself. I created a world of myself, and someone gave me a card the other day that said most people don't follow the path, the beaten path, but create your own path, and that I've made a path. I've made a path for myself. I have not worked in the system. It's a joke because I've worked for myself so long that when the Social Security told me that since my age, I'm at a retirement age, that I would be making $225. That's how much I've paid into the Social Security system. And I'm doing well. I'm wealthy. But I'm not doing it from a perspective of going into some type of